U.S. forces have begun transferring ISIS detainees from prisons in Syria to Iraq. In recent days, deadly clashes have broken out between Syrian government forces and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF. A defense official tells CBS News the head of U.S. Central Command spoke with Syria's president yesterday about a plan for transferring up to 7,000 detainees. CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata is joining us now to break it all down for us. So Charlie, explain that phone call and what prompted the United States to start moving detainees over the course of the last few days.
Yeah, Vlad, there's a lot to cover here. But in short, the Syrian government forces have been advancing against the SDF, as you just mentioned there. The SDF were looking after these ISIS prisons. There's a place called al-Shaddadi, which is a little bit further up to the northeast. They were in charge of Overwatch with, this is important, the backup of U.S. forces, because the U.S. forces have been allied with the SDF. So these very important ISIS prisons were there. Well, a few days ago, there was a prison break at al-Shaddadi, and hundreds of ISIS prisoners escaped. Way more important than that is the al-Hol prison, which is in al-Hasaka, 7,000, as you just mentioned. I have to repeat here, they are not removing these ISIS, high value, by the way, ISIS prisoners, foreign fighters, not local fighters. They're not moving them to other places in Syria. They're moving them to Iraq. That gives you an idea about the volatility in that region and the fact that the United States, whose primary mission is to keep an insurgent, resurgent ISIS from reforming inside Syria, doesn't feel comfortable that they can be transferred anywhere within Syria, and they have to be moved to neighboring Iraq instead.
All right. So, Charlie, we've seen a lot of posturing from Syria in recent days. Beyond this prison move, what's going on?
Yeah, Vlad, there's a lot going on. First of all, the new Syrian government, certainly elements within the new Syrian government and the pro-government militias are sworn enemies of the Kurds, the SDF. I was there. I've seen the fighting, against ISIS and with these individual groups. So they are trying to attack. There are ISIS cells that are trying to break open those prisons, and the SDF are on their heels. They feel like they've been abandoned by the United States. And the United States Special Envoy Tom Barrack said, look, the landscape has changed. Our primary goal is to keep ISIS down, not necessarily to come to the defense of the SDF. So they have been losing all kinds of territory, and where this has become important, this is gas-rich, this is oil-rich. The Kurds don't want to give up, territory that they fought for and lost lives over, and thousands of their own civilians were killed in that fight against ISIS to take over this territory, to then hand it over to the Syrian government. The United States and the Syrian government says, you have to integrate if you're going to be part of this new Syria. But that is where the conflict is right now. And there's a 4-day, important to point that out, 4-day ceasefire between those Syrian government forces and the Kurdish forces, I'm guessing, to open up that window in order to get those ISIS prisoners, those ISIS detainees, out of that very important prison.
It's always important to remember the natural resources part of it.
100%.
I'm glad you brought that up, Charlie. Always appreciative of your experience. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.